I'm Mary Pepino, and welcome to Fit for You, the show that teaches you how to live a healthier and more fit lifestyle. Today we're taping my favorite show of the year. It's about golf in one of my favorite places, the Lake Club in Poland, Ohio. And you can't talk about golf and the Lake Club without noting my dear father, Don Pepino. We're in the Don Pepino room, and his clubs are behind me. And as you all know, he did this show prior to his passing in 2011. So I have some great, great memories of how we started our golf show, and we do it every year. I'm going to be joined by Dennis Miller, the director of golf here, and then we're going to talk to Andy Santor. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the show. It's with great pleasure I bring to you one of our finest, one of Ohio's finest, and one of the best out there, the director of golf at the Lake Club, Mr. Dennis Miller. Thank you so much for agreeing to be with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's truly an honor, and we want to talk about your many accomplishments, so we'll kind of go step by step. 2012 Northern Ohio PGA Player of the Year. That's pretty darn cool.
Yes. And,
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that was an incredible year, 2012, and I think that was the culmination of all the hard work that I put in the previous years leading up to that. And obviously the highlight of that year was qualifying for the 2012 U.S. Open in San Francisco. And you know, doing it the way I qualified was in a playoff, and you know, having it captured on television with the golf ball stopping on the lip of the hole, and I turning away and it falling in was just, it was incredible. What a dream.
Highlight of your life.
Absolutely.
And we have to say hello to your darling son, Nathan.
Absolutely.
And how old would Nathan have been when that happened?
He was 5. He was 5, and you know, one of the first time I really got emotional about qualifying, other than calling my parents and my wife, is the Golf Channel actually called me and asked me how old my son was. And he was 5 at the time, and they asked me when I was arriving in San Francisco, and they had a camera follow us around the entire day. I made a nice 5-minute segment on the Golf Channel, but I actually had the footage for the entire day. So when he's older, he'll understand the magnitude of what I did.
That's just such an awesome piece that, like you say, he'll have and cherish.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about many other accomplishments. 1996, you won the Ohio Open, and you won it by 6 shots.
Yes.
And between 1996 and 2012, lifestyle, weight, kind of varied a little bit, didn't it?
It sure did, and that's kind of been my my problem, my challenge. I've in 1996, going into that season, I dropped about 60 pounds. I would say by 1998, I put on about half of that back, and I escalated back. So I've had about 3 or 4 times in my career since 1996 where I've actually either put on 30 or 40 pounds or taken off 30, 40, or 50 pounds.
And that is what, it's very interesting, I think, because when people think about other sports, you do think much more about diet and exercise. When you get into golf, they'll focus on the swing, they'll focus on, I got to take a lot more lessons, and all of that's critical, and we're going to get into some of that. But I want to talk a little bit about the diet and exercise, because you have fluctuated over the years somewhere between 198 and 250. And it does make a difference in your game, right? Absolutely.
And especially now that I'm 45 years old now, and I can tell the last 2 or 3 years that I've had some physical ailments, and the game has changed. Golf has changed. Tiger Woods has changed that. And if you watch the guys on the PGA Tour, fitness is at the forefront. I mean, they are true athletes today, and that club head speed and how far you hit it really it means something. So.
And you are very passionate about a team approach to becoming a better golfer. So it's you have, and we're going to meet here in a few minutes, one of your trainers. You have a personal trainer for fitness. You have a personal trainer for golf. And you also have a gentleman that you instruct, and he instructs you, that's a critical part of your team, Mr. Rick Jones.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about Rick and the background there between the two of you.
About 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even longer than that, about 6 actually. He casually walked into the pro shop in Mill Creek, and Andy and I worked together, and I had a simple question about a putting style that I was going to use, and he and I struck up an incredible relationship. And I credit Rick for elevating my game to the next level.
What's Rick's background?
Rick he's a golf professional, not his entire life. He was a great amateur, and he won the NCAAs in 1956, I believe, for Ohio State. And he was at Ohio State just before Jack Nicklaus came there. And he always had an incredible swing. Mm-hmm. And in fact, it's one of my favorite swings. And oftentimes when we would go out and he was trying to teach me, I would stop and I said, would you please do this for me, 2 or 3 times, and I'd watch his swing and I would try to emulate it. He's just an incredible guy, and he really committed to me. So we would spend hours together, or sometimes, I have a job, I have a career, so we wouldn't have that time to spend. So even if we spent 5 to 10 minutes or just a casual conversation at night, we were constantly working on our golf games.
And without divulging his age, we know he was there before Jack was. Mm-hmm. So you can guess, he can still shoot. Can he shoot par, or is he slightly over?
No, he can still shoot par, even under par.
And does he do exercises?
Yes, he does.
Does he kind of watch his diet a bit?
He does.
So I would say that definitely contributes to his ability, because that's pretty amazing to be shooting par golf when you're his age.
That's correct.
It's amazing at any age, but
That's
especially.
Right.
You mentioned Andy, so I think we better bring Andy into this segment, because we want to introduce this critical part of your team. Andy Santor, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and you are, tell us what you do.
I'm the head golf professional at Mill Creek, have been for about 15 years now. Me and Dennis worked side by side for a long time, and I had to watch that long straight tee shot for how many ever years, not real good for your self-esteem watching him hit it all the time. But no, it's been great. And then talking about the U.S. Open, obviously, that was a whirlwind. That whole week, 2 weeks, about a 2 week span that kind of lasted, and it was a lot of fun to be a part of.
And you come from a very big golf family.
Yes, my grandfather, my father, my uncle, real good players. So I started playing when I was young too, and still playing competitively. In our world, I just became a senior, so I'm still playing competitively too. But yes, I have.
And it's very cool. I know our fathers knew each other and played together.
Yes.
And had a lot of admiration for each other.
Sure. Your father, a wonderful man. So.
Thank you. Ditto. Hey, tell us a little bit about, now you are TPI certified, and when Dennis and I were talking yesterday, it's very interesting to me what Titleist has done to bring personal training specifically for golf.
Right.
Tell us what TPI means.
Well, it's TPI's Titleist Performance Institute, and I think they're the most knowledgeable people in the world. Being a golf professional, we come from a mechanical world. We're always working on swing mechanics, people's swing mechanics, and it links the body's mobility, stability chain from the ground up, and the effects, the tremendous effects it has on how people swing a golf club. Sometimes you tell people, no matter what you tell them from a mechanical standpoint, a lot of times it's a physical issue that's causing that. Maybe a physical ailment, a physical injury, or just some tightness, or talking about it sitting down. Our muscles kind of shorten up and tighten up as we get older, so it becomes a challenge.
And so you started working with Dennis at what point? About how long ago?
No.
Well, when he actually
TPI. So let me talk from the TPI perspective.
I think we sent Andy about 4 years ago.
Yeah, he supported me in going. I've gone through 3 certifications. So, and kind of the things you learned, I obviously brought back with me to Mill Creek, and they said, hey.
And they have 3 levels.
Yeah, well, they have multiple levels, but they have 2 levels for. And what I did, the first one is really linking like I said, the body swing connection. The link that it has, and I remember coming back and saying, hey, you know how you kind of do this? Well, that's attributed to this. That's kind of how it got started. So,
and you have another TPI certified professional that has a little bit more of my background. Andy is TPI certified as the golf pro.
Correct.
Then you work with another gentleman who's TPI certified, but he has a personal training background. So tell us the difference, Dennis. What does he do?
TPI, they realize that this is for, golf professionals, professional trainers, chiropractors. There's a whole line of people can come and actually get certified, but they are very careful in making sure that the lines don't get crossed. So in other words, Andy, as the golf professional, will focus on how maybe your swing mechanics are being affected by something that is your body is limiting that or causing that problem. But he's not going to diagnose what it is. So, he's not a medical professional and he's not a physical trainer, but he's the golf professional. And vice versa, my physical trainer is not a golf pro. So even he might target maybe my hip mobility or something like that, but he's not going to try to fix my golf swing.
Now, will he get into, I want you to do X minutes of cardio, vascular activity, X number of days a week?
Correct. Yes, he does.
Do you do resistance training with him?
Yes, quite often.
Flexibility?
Yes, that's very big. And the stability muscles, the small stability muscles and things like that.
Now, do you work with him all year long?
No, unfortunately I don't. I did last winter and I started this spring. But we are going to try to continue it on a year-round basis. So, and after I qualified for the U.S. Open and I became Player of the Year, and I got those goals, and it was such a wonderful time in my life. I did have another opportunity to become the executive director for Mill Creek Park, and I did, and I loved it, and I thought it was a great experience. But sitting behind that desk is when I really truly realized how my body was changing.
And I want to talk about that because it was really eye-opening to me how different, how lethargic you became within a short period of time from leaving the extensive golf lifestyle where you were really active and moving every day to now sitting behind a desk, hours and hours a week.
And to that point, I think I amazed a lot of people where I didn't have to go to the range and warm up. I can just go out and just grab my driver and take a couple of swings and I'm ready to go. And I did that all the way up until I was 43 years old. And now I can't do it anymore. And it was that brief 2-year period where I didn't have the golf club in my hand every single day. I remained competitive, but because I didn't have it every day, my body changed. And even today, I've had about 3 ailments that I had to either get a cortisone injection or really try to work out some of those problems. But that did not occur up until after 2012. After 2012 is when I started really seeing a difference.
Well, and whenever you talk about most great athletes, because they're so good at what they do, and there's an intensity level involved, they do run into problems. You're going to run into health issues, and be it the shoulder, be it the legs, be it the core, whatever. But I think then that forces you to start thinking about, okay, I'm going to focus more on a healthier diet, a better eating program, and strengthening my overall body from a physical fitness perspective and not just focus on the one component of the sport that is my area of expertise. So I think sometimes it's an eye-opener, and the good news is you can come through those things very successfully and get back into the game, as long as you do, but the way to do it isn't just getting a cortisone injection.
That's correct.
It's okay, that's a temporary fix, but now I got to figure out what's causing the problem. Let's get Andy involved. Let's get my trainer involved. Let me start to focus on, eating a little bit better. And it was interesting when we talk about your diet too, because, like you talk about, you're a very passionate, intense person. I think most successful people are. But that intensity and passion also translates into everyday lifestyle. So when we're so focused on what we're doing, we're not thinking about eating. Well, then sometimes you go all day, now you're so ravenous, and now you're eating everything and anything you can because you're starving.
Yes.
And I think that's a challenge for so many people.
Right.
But it's interesting how, like you say, the team pulls it all together for you. Goals are very important.
Yes.
So tell me what you have found. Do you set goals with Andy?
Andy and I did not set goals together, but Rick and I would.
No, what type of goals?
Well, we would sit down at the beginning of the year and say, okay, what do we want to accomplish? and how we're going to get there, and we would work diligently to do that. And
you talk about your goals in the past. You have a goal for 2015.
I certainly do.
What is it?
I'm playing in the National Club Pro in Philadelphia at the Philadelphia Cricket Club at the end of June, and that is the final stage to the PGA Championship, and that's certainly a goal of mine, is to play in certainly another major before I turn 50, that's for sure. So I think this is a good opportunity, and especially coming back into golf. This is my passion, and being around golf is going to certainly help me reach those goals. We also talked about like the time commitment and how that is, very important, because I have a job to perform here, and it's in a very active club. It's a very unique club. It's fantastic. Everything that goes on here is just incredible. And so I have a lot of responsibility to make sure that our members are taken care of, and that we run an excellent golf operation. And I found out with my time management, it was the same as at Mill Creek, that if I go out and play 9 holes, that may take 2 hours or an hour and 45 minutes. And if I play well, I may only hit 18 full shots and maybe 18 putts.
Everybody's out there going, "Oh, I wish that was my problem." But go ahead.
Yeah, some days it was even better than that, but or worse. And I found myself, during those times where I knew that spending an hour 45 minutes on the golf course wasn't my best use of time. I can go out in 15, 20 minutes and hit that many shots. So, just keeping the golf club in your hand, going to the range, hitting chip shots, hitting putt. Any member that's here, they're going to see me chip and putt, for 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, or whatever, because that's the way I manage my time.
Well, and I was going to say, so your key tips are, you have to have the commitment.
Absolutely.
And the dedication. And I love your story about time management. And you said, even if you have an extra 10 minutes on your hands between whatever, you'll run out to the green, or you'll run out,
right.
Okay, that's 10 minutes I can hit.
Yep.
Or focus on something.
And we actually introduced, last week, we introduced our new lesson program here at the Lake Club.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
The way our myself and the other 2 golf professionals are instructing our students is similar to how I manage my time. So it's not necessarily going up on the range and hitting balls for an hour and at a time. Initially, certainly we need to learn your swing, so we need to evaluate it. So it may take 45 minutes, but after that, spending those 5, 10, 15 minutes on the range or on the golf course, or just watching your swing and constantly reminding of 1 or 2 things that you need to work on, I think that's more effective.
Now, are these the new lesson program? Are we calling it the Dennis Miller lesson program at the Lake Club? Whatever, I like it. It's one-on-one, or is it a group? That's important to distinguish.
I talked about that. It is one-on-one, because I think everyone's challenges are different.
And I really like that.
Yes.
Because whether you're talking about a lifestyle, there are certain things that I think pertain you can focus on as a group. But every person's different. If you talk about diet and exercise, if you talk about their golf swing, their golf game, what their, I would think their natural alignment's just different, because we're all so different.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you have to be a member?
No, you do not.
Okay, so they can contact you and get involved in this lesson program here.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's a cool way to visit this fabulous club. I want to talk a little bit, too, about how you have 2 months now between now and your what your goal is for the end of June, right?
That's correct.
Tell us, what is your little bit of the health and fitness plan between now and then, and involving Andy, your other, how many days a week are you training, for example?
Well, I was going 2 days, and I'll continue that starting this week. Actually, I want to. We're going to start again.
Now, 2 days with Andy?
No, not with Andy. Andy, I see from time to time, or if we see on a driving range, or he'll stop over, or I'll stop over and see him. It's more of the swing mechanic, but the actual physical trainer will be with Bob Sarich.
Now, do you feel that the swing mechanic, once you're pretty solid with it, that's something more that when I get a sore throat, I go to the doctor. But usually if I'm feeling good, I would think someone at your level has the swing mechanic down pretty well.
That's the advantage of having that team. You always have those other sets of eyes watching you, making sure that I am lined up correctly. I may think that I'm lined up correctly, but maybe my optics are not where they need to be, and I have Rick or Andy or or one of my other golf professional friends that I play with would maybe remind me, and that's the value of having a team approach. So that I always have somebody else watching me.
We talked about swing faults and making sure that people are aware of their swing faults. Give us some of the swing faults that people just don't, that they should be thinking about that maybe they don't, or they don't even realize they should be thinking about.
Well, I think Andy and I talked about it, and I'll let Andy talk about it. I think one of the most important things that people need to understand in order to play good golf, other than the fundamentals, is the kinematic sequence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you can explain that because I have no idea what it means.
Kinematic sequence is how your body sequences, in particular on the downswing. If you look at any tour player, if you look at a swing graph of any tour player, a 3D swing graph, their bodies all sequence the same. It goes pelvis, thorax, lead arm, then the club, and every single one of them. And they just talked about Jim Furyk won last week, and Jim Furyk has an awkward looking swing to some people. The club goes outside and reroutes it back inside, but his kinematic sequence is perfect, and it looks exactly the same as Phil Mickelson's and Tiger Woods, although...
Now, are those learned, or is a big part of that they have the natural ability and then they tweak it?
It's a little bit of both. Amateurs tend to lead with their arms, so they come over the top. It's a big problem. It's a lack of power. It's over the top. It's a slice. There's a lot of issues that come from that. And you can learn it, but there's certainly drills and things like that to make you do that. But the kinematic sequence, in my opinion, if amateurs really want to get better, they have to learn and understand it. And once they do, and it's the and I'll let you it's the sequence, and all good players have it. So it's what comes first and what comes last.
But you can develop it.
Absolutely.
You need some physical. You need something. And some people, many people, have to happen in your body a little bit. But you also have to learn, your muscles. You have to kind of teach your muscles how to do it a little bit.
And those are the exercises I believe that I focused on and Andy focused on, and then what amateurs need to focus on.
Well, and that's a great point, because I know I can answer this from the personal training perspective. People will tell me, I can't do that. I could never do that. Yes, we can train the body. I mean, there are certain limitations. Right. But I'm a great example. I'm somebody who I never thought I would be able to do a back bend into my 50s. Mm-hmm. And, when I'm doing my Pilates now, I can do it myself, no spotter, no nothing. And it took me like 2 months to get there, but it was working at it, focusing on it. I would think it's very similar to what we're talking about.
Very similar. I have a book this thick of motor skill drills that get, that to work on, people that, this is what you do. This is a motor skill drill that you can do to get you, help get you out of that. So, it's pretty much part of how I teach. So.
If viewers want to schedule with you to do some of this training, they can. We will have the contact information up, but they can contact you. And,
sure.
Okay.
Call me at Mill Creek. Absolutely.
Perfect. I want to talk a little bit about equipment, because equipment has come so far, and I've heard people make comments that with the equipment today, you can automatically pick up, X amount of yardage or shave off X amount of strokes on your game, and I'm sure there's some truth to that. But, talk to me a little bit about the equipment. I mean, how much can it really do? If you don't have the right driver, you can put them in the most phenomenal car in the world. It's, you're only as good as the driver, in my opinion.
Certainly the clubs today, there are so many, like the drivers, there's, like on a Titleist driver, there's 16 different adjustments to it. So you can change it from anywhere from a 7.5 degree to a 13.5 degree driver. And close the face, open the face. So if you tend to slice the golf ball, you can get actually set the golf club so it'll create a draw. But there's so much technology in developing, in particular, the driver. That from a spring effect off of the face to how light the shafts are now. The shafts, I think the latest I saw was 50 grams, which is incredible. And speed, the distance comes from club head speed, and the faster you can swing that golf club, the further it's going to go. And it's amazing how light overall the lightness of the golf clubs have become.
I have a set of clubs with the light shaft, and I don't like them. I'm terrible because I'm rather a strong hitter. and I'm flipping that thing around. What type of shaft do you prefer?
Well, in that case, you can still get a light shaft, but maybe we can look at it and still get a heavier swing weight. So you'll still.
You are going to be looking at that for me as we start the season, so we will be doing that shortly.
So it kind of fools you. So maybe the overall weight is light, and the way we measure the swing weights is like a D1, D2, D3, and as it climbs up, the heavier it gets. We can get you like a D3, which is rather heavy for you, but it's still the lightweight. The overall weight is very light. So you'll get that speed, and you'll still have your feel.
Do you agree that it's important to have? It is worth getting a personal fitting for golf clubs, because like my first thought was, okay, I need a heavier shaft. You're telling me something now that I never even thought about. I didn't even know was available.
Yes, absolutely.
We're going to get into the pro shop and look at some different things, but it's very interesting to me. The golf ball's changed a lot, hasn't it?
Dramatically.
Yes.
I mean, how do you know? I don't know. I know there's Pro V1, there's Pro V1X, there's this, there's that. I just know a little bit about the Titleist because I've played with them. But
golf balls today are designed for a golf professional, a touring professional who has a lot of club head speed. The faster you swing the ball, the more the ball will spin. Well, it can spin so much that it actually will climb up and you'll actually lose distance. Right. So they do a lot to make the golf ball not spin as much. And that also takes off some of the side spin, it's incredible what you can do to a golf ball today. It really is.
Now, do you select the proper golf ball as you do the proper club when you're doing a fitting? Can you instruct them on?
To a point. I think what's important with golf balls, and I've said this for quite some time, they're all really good. But the important thing is to play a new one, and not play
How often?
I would, for me, I won't use a ball in a tournament more than 9 holes. That's about max for me.
Yeah, same here.
For an amateur, of course, if you get a round or two out of it, that's it. That's done.
That's interesting, though. You shouldn't be playing a month or two with the same ball.
No.
That's right. So not if you expect exactly.
Yeah.
And not if you expect the ball to perform.
Right.
So you play a new golf.
Lose one way. I never would. One's gone way before that.
There you go.
So play a new golf ball, and then try to find one that you like. And try to play that one golf ball because you learned that golf ball's characteristics. Each ball's going to fly a little different.
Right.
So if you learn
big
the characteristics of one ball and then play a new ball, I think you're in the right direction. Whether it's Titleist or Bridgestone or TaylorMade or Callaway, it doesn't matter.
Finding the one that fits you.
That's right, the one you prefer.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Shoes.
Shoes are incredible right now. They're really getting. Again, Adidas came out with the Boost. Titleist has the Hyperflex, and again, they're recognizing that golf is an athletic sport again.
Trying to get, the old shoes were stability shoes. Well, most people our ankles are one of the first things to, where we lose our mobility. Ankle mobility is a very important part of the golf swing. So they're to get our ankles to move around a little bit.
So
wait, you do want the ankle to have mobility?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Critical.
I would think you'd want it to be.
No.
Well, that was the case. If you go back about 5 years ago, the shoes were all built for stability.
Yeah.
And now they've kind of gone the other direction.
Oh, that's very
That's where you
interesting.
start. If when you see somebody what they're doing, if they have immobile ankles, if there's certain things they can't do, they have a difficult time maintaining their posture in their golf swing. So
Well, one of the things I focus on too with people when we're talking about training, especially running and cardio, I have a very flat foot. I know some people have when you're buying, I tell them when you're buying a workout shoe or a running or a walk, you've got to know what kind of foot you have and you need to be fit for your kind of foot. I'm assuming the same thing applies here.
Yes.
yes,
Yeah, for me, for sure. There's some shoes that I won't play golf in a tournament, and there's no question that I feel very comfortable in certain types of shoes. I wear FootJoy shoes, but there's only a few of styles that FootJoy that makes that are comfortable to me.
Does it matter whether it's a tie, a slip-on, a Velcro? Depends on the foot, the comfort?
Probably.
Yeah, and they have a new one. It's called BOA. Have you seen the BOA system?
I don't think
Okay,
so.
when we go over to the pro shop,
We're gonna-
that's
they're
pretty
nice.
impressive too.
Well, we'll keep that as like a little tease. We have to wait until later on to see that. I want to show some exercises. So we're going to step away from the table, and I want to get into some of the exercises that you've found to be beneficial as a result of Andy's training,
Great.
CPI training.
Great.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to now get into the actual exercise segment, since this is, my background. But real quick, I want to comment on clothing, because when I am working out with people, I tell them, I want to make sure you have on the proper workout attire, the proper shoes, the proper, if you're running, the proper, running bra if you're a woman, or the proper running clothes, so that when you're doing a golf lesson or when you're doing your golf training, you want to be in golf attire, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it would be very difficult to do this in a pair of jeans or anything like that.
Sure.
Yes, absolutely.
And you want to be in the clothes you're going to be in when you're actually performing the activity, and you want to be at your best.
That's correct. Very
Okay.
important.
I am now going to take a little step back, and I will hand you your apparatuses and whatnot, but I'm turning it over to you two gentlemen. So, Dennis, Andy, do your thing.
Yeah, one of the first things that Andy and I worked on was my posture. And if I would set up here, you can see
C
that I have
posture.
very rounded shoulders and a C posture.
Very, very common thing you'll see in the golfing world
So,
today.
so Drew, talk me through the exercise again.
Well, what he's going to do, he's going to take a band. He's going to stretch his arms out. Very important in his situation that he gets his chest opened up. He's going to go ahead and put the band right behind his back. Okay, now he's got his chest opened up. Now he's going to get in his golf posture. And as you can see, now he's in his golf posture. If you would see his back, he has a neutral spine now. There's no C curve in it. Now there's no C curve. He's in a neutral spine. That's critical.
Why
Now-
don't you explain what a neutral spine? Turn to the side, Dennis,
Okay.
because this is really important.
This is very important. The neutral spine, as you can see, the spine now is straight. There's no C curve in his back in particular, and this thoracic area up in the upper part of his shoulders. When that happens, we have a very difficult time rotating our body. So Dennis now has his chest opened up. Now we're going to throw some rotation.
I have a
into-
quick question. Did this band, and they come in different tensions? Does
Yes.
it matter what tension you
Not
have?
really. No,
Okay.
I mean, not really. If you're just trying to get your chest opened up here.
Okay.
And he's going to throw some rotate. Now he's going to go into, by the way, everybody watching, if you can learn how to do what he's doing here and then go ahead and go make a downswing. He's making his backswing and downswing move. And you can see he's maintaining that posture. This is his lead arm, comes down, now, and his trail arm goes up. Now he's going to come through, and it's going to go the opposite. If people could learn how to do that right there, their game will improve right like that. If they can just learn how to do this
Now,
in their golf swing.
I'm watching his feet as well. Do you want to comment on the foot positioning?
Well, when he goes back, there's going to be a little bit more stability in his lower body. Now when he goes through and Dennis explodes about as good as anyone, there's some explosive motion, and you can see he comes up on his right toe. So
When he's turning, is the weight coming all the way off of the leg that is in the reverse of which way he's facing? So right now, I'm assuming all of his weight. Do it, and when he's going to the left, all of his weight's on the left leg.
the quicker your weight gets from trail leg, in his case right leg, to lead leg, left leg, the better your sequence is going to be. We talked about the kinematic sequence, and the more explosion you're going to have, in which he does that. That is probably one thing. His kinematic sequence is exceptional. One of the reasons he hits it so long and straight. And if you ever watch him hit it, he does.
And when you're talking about not just the form with the band, do you also practice speed of going, speed of getting
there's
one side to the other?
Absolutely.
Speed things,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Especially with the lower body and getting it all tied together.
Okay. I want to talk about the bands on your legs, because I know they've been very effective for you, and I hope I'm handing you the right one. I
Yes.
want you to put the bands on. In the end, I want you to talk about the value of these bands and what they do.
Well,
Now,
These-
we're just tell them how we're putting them on. By the way, what are these bands? Explain.
These are Just leg bands that
Some
really will
tension
stretch
on
out
them.
my hip
Right.
flexors and
Goodness,
things like
yeah.
that.
So it's basically just a piece of Velcro, and what are these two little straps for? We're
There's
going to
some
learn what
resistance
that's going to
bands.
do
That's the
here in a
resistance
minute.
bands.
So
Okay.
resistance
Okay.
bands.
All right.
Yep. So they make it easy.
put-
The patches just go up front
Right.
of my thighs.
By the way, when we were talking about these bands, when we were preparing for today, I love Dennis's story. Your 7-year-old son, Nathan, thought, he didn't think these were too cool, huh?
No, he goes, Dad,
Yeah.
you got to take those ridiculous things off.
I said, you could be starting a new trend.
Yes, and I actually wear these around the pro shop from
Right.
time to time.
Yeah.
So, and it really helps me. You know, I do
Yeah.
side steps, which
Right.
helps my hip flexors.
Hip flexors,
And
yes.
then I do my inner and
that's
outer
important.
mobility here to get my hips.
Yeah.
Those are
to kind of
cool.
move.
Right.
And then some of the other things that I do, other than just my side to side, you know, and I'll take like 20 steps down, 20 steps back, and I do
No,
that.
wait, go slow. So tell us what you do. So you'll step out.
So yeah.
Now,
I
are you
step,
doing it slowly, or doesn't it matter?
Slowly and controlled.
I
Yes.
do it slowly, and then I always keep tension.
Right.
When I bring my,
You don't
my
want his feet to
trail
come
leg
all the way
in,
together, right?
when I bring my trail leg in,
Yeah, he
I
wants
still
to-
have resistance.
Some separation
Somebody
there, right?
define trail leg, because we referred to it. I think I know what it is, but let's make sure the viewers know.
Okay, right-handed golfer, trail leg is your right leg, lead leg is your left leg, trail arm is your right arm, lead leg is your left arm. You know, that's in how it relates to the target.
And if I'm a left-handed player, it's the
It
opposite.
would be the opposite, yes.
Okay. Okay.
That's
So
why
again, and I do my hip rotations. I'll go
Right.
back. I'll do
Working
reps like
on
that.
Now,
external hip rotation.
is that actually the range of motion that he gets, Andy, or should it be better?
Well,
Bigger?
we're getting into a little bit of specifics here with Dennis. Some of the things Dennis Dennis doesn't go wrong too often. By the way, trust me, I've watched him play enough. But when he does go wrong, he has some tight hip flexors. His hip rotation, both directions, get somewhat compromised. His body goes into what's called a little bit of an early extension. That's when your lower body starts
goes out
working
towards
toward
the
the
ball.
golf ball. You know, it's important that on our downswing we keep that space from our lower body to the golf ball. We don't want our lower. This is about 80% of the golfing population does this, by the way.
I think, I've
Their
never
lower
thought about it. I
body-
definitely do.
Yeah, I do not want at any time. I do not want my hips to go
that
towards
way,
the ball.
right. And if-
This because what happens is, see, if I go in,
Right.
my spine comes up.
His upper body. He loses his posture. If there is, like I said, when Dennis does mishit it, which isn't too often, he goes into what's called a little bit of an early extension. His lower body will come forward. His upper body will go backward a little bit. In his particular case, he gets the club.
A little
So
behind.
now
Little
tell me how
behind him.
this is going to keep him from coming forward.
Well, it's gonna help his internal hip rotation. You know, on our backswing, our trail leg is our right leg. Go ahead back.
Here.
Has
Yeah.
internal hip rotation here. Now in his downswing, there's going to be an internal hip rotation in his
Yeah.
left. And I know
Okay.
working with Bob, he has some tight hip flexors.
So, Mary, if you would do me a favor,
Okay.
and you would just hold this club right here,
Right.
Okay.
just like that. As I go away, you can see my right hip goes back.
Right, he doesn't.
Then my fault would be this
Right,
would
that.
come forward.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, what I would want is that motion.
Right.
Okay.
So my hip never goes towards the
Right.
golf ball, it goes towards my target.
Have you trained your body now to pretty much do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we
Absolutely.
can train. This is a great example of how you can train your body to do things.
Absolutely. And my fault is when I get lazy, I revert back to this very thing, which is very detrimental to my swing because it's a throwing action and I'm not going to be as consistent.
Right.
No question about
Right.
it. So
That's very interesting.
So what I work on again, and you can see how it's related, is improving my posture, keeping that spine angle, and then how my hips are related to that. That if I make a bad move here towards the golf ball, my spine then comes up.
Right.
Amazing. Well, I recommend you contact Dennis and Andy and get this thing going, get this game on check. Thanks, guys.
Thank you
you.
very
Let's
much.
go to the pro shop. Welcome to the phenomenal Lake Club Pro Shop. I love coming in here every year. The beautiful colors, the fabulous merchandise. And before we start to show you everything they have to offer, I want to talk a little bit, Dennis, about the club. You were talking about how you can take the driver and make adjustments right here on premise.
Yes.
Explain, show.
This is a Titleist driver. This is the 915, the new model. This is a 9.5, 9.5 degrees. You can see the shaft, and they call this a sure fit. So if it's in an A1 setting,
Now, what's A1 mean?
Well, there's 4 letters, A, B, C, and D, and also 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
So there's 16 different settings that you can set this driver to. And it ranges anywhere from a 9.5, I can go down a degree and a half, make it an 8-degree driver, or I can add a degree and a half and make it a 10-degree driver. And then I can also open or close the face. So if you tend to slice the golf ball, I can close the face to make it draw a little bit more. Vice versa, if I hook the golf ball, I can open the golf club up.
So if I'm doing one of my lessons with you that we talked about, I can do a lesson and then you can actually make the adjustment to the club.
Absolutely.
As we're...
Absolutely. Whatever your tendency is, we can kind of correct it right there.
I love it. And you have a little wrench that makes this all happen.
So I can pop this on, and it's very simple. So there's no more epoxy or anything like that. It's simply a torque wrench that I fasten the screw down. I got it on an A1 setting, so this will be a square face with a 9.5 degree loft, and then you'll hear a little click. That means it's tight.
Ready to go.
It's ready to go.
I love it.
So it's really, the technology today is just fantastic. And then we also have fitting carts in the back from all the manufacturers that it's the same thing. We can pop an iron head on any shaft, so you can try an array of shafts, different lies and lofts. So it's incredible what we can do with fitting a golf club today.
Fantastic. Now let's talk about shoes. And Andy, we're going to bring you in too because we talked a little bit about shoes earlier. And my favorite is this one, which I'm going to hold off on. So let's start. This is what, by the way, aren't the colors fabulous? I mean, they're becoming such fashion items now. Naturally, no more metal cleats.
Correct.
They're gone for good. So tell us, what's this?
This is an Adidas shoe. It's their Boost shoe, and I know we talked about ankle mobility, and really finding, believe it or not, there's a science to. I know these are 2-foot joists, so I know TPI is Acushnet, is owned by the Acushnet company. They get involved with the design of shoes, but there's a science to your foot, how your ankle works in a golf swing. And the makeup of your foot and your ankle, and you can get shoes to maybe enhance your ankle mobility and how your foot's going to move around. And then, like we talked about, very critical in how you swing a golf club. So
I love it. Dennis, explain to us, this particular shoe is made from the same leather as the golf glove. By the way, there again, I love this. It's very chic.
Yes, they're realizing that they're straying away from the classic golf shoe. And FootJoy, their staple shoe was the FootJoy Classic, which is an all leather shoe with and it had a lot of stability. So they're finding out. They're finding out that this leather is just like this glove, so it's very soft and it allows your ankle to move.
Pliable.
Yes. So,
absolutely.
That's why Adidas and Nike are getting into the golf as well, because they're recognizing that this is an athletic sport and it's an athletic shoe now.
Absolutely. Now, this is the coolest. So, explain this to us. This is called the
BOA system.
Okay.
So, it's just another way that you can fasten the shoe to your foot.
Now, before you get going, I want to show this lovely back, and we have this wonderful little twisty knob here, I'm going to call it. And you have your laces. Very different, though, than what we're finding in a traditional lace shoe that I'm going to tie.
Correct.
Okay, explain.
So what they came up with is you pop the button in the back, and then you can spread it apart, you put your foot in.
Now, these aren't traditional ties.
No. They're like it's like a wire that's all interlaced through the shoe.
Okay.
And then once you get your foot in, then you just pop the button back in, and you twist it, and you get it as tight as you can to your foot.
This is like so cool. So then when you take it off, now why can't I do it?
You pop it out.
Oh, you have to pop it out. So I gotcha. Perfect. And then, very, very cool.
So it's something very unique. It's something that they've introduced, I'd say, it's been around for about 4 or 5 years now.
Now, do these come in narrows and widths, or is it one width?
Nope. Medium, narrow, and wide.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect. Because that's really important today, too, because you think of, okay, what size is your golf shoe? You just think of your foot size, and you don't think about your width.
Right, and believe it or not, they say our feet tend to shrink and get wider as we get older, so it could change. A lot of people stay at the same shoe size their whole life.
Well, I'm a 9.5 or a 10. I haven't. Thank God it doesn't go in the other direction because I'd be like a boat. But I was a very, very narrow, like a quad. I'm down to like a double A. So thank God I can find way more shoes. But you're right. That's critical to my foot because I would walk out of.
Right.
When I was younger and started golfing when I was like 12 and 13, you couldn't get. Well, I started when I was 2, but I mean really playing. You couldn't get a narrow shoe.
Right.
So. And by the way, I love my hat because I'm a big proponent of, especially in health and fitness, we got to keep that sun off of our face. And I know you have fabulous hats for men and women and some unisex, but something too you want to keep in mind. Let's bring these grips over. They're very cool.
This is something that, when we went to the PGA show.
Bring them all over because I want to be able to compare them and show the different sizes. This is like...
And they're actually numbered.
Yes.
The largest is a 5.50.
So this 5.0 is quite the wide grip.
Yes.
And
That's
then
the
we go
largest.
down to, I love this little tiny skinny thing that's kind of like the mini version,
Yeah, and Jordan Spieth, who just won the Masters, he uses a Super Stroke grip. And this has been around. They when they first developed them, they were like this hard plastic that was very difficult to install. They're very difficult to put on a putter. But they've really come a long way, and they have such an array of sizes and lengths. And this one is actually called the Claw, and sometimes I use the Claw grip, and it's very long compared to your standard putter grip. So when I place my hand on here, it actually gives me room for my fingers to stay on the putter. So that's why it's called a Claw, and that is the Claw grip. So this would be a cross-handed grip. This is your standard grip, and that's a Claw grip.
So the grips have really expanded
Yes.
Significantly.
over the years.
It's incredible. Wedges, the changing the grinds and the bounce on a wedge and things like that. It's just amazing with the direction the equipment's going.
Why would I want a fatter grip versus a skinnier grip?
Well, if you have very active hands.
Keeps your hands out of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thicker the grip.
Yeah, you want to use your large muscles even in putting. Because your little muscles sometimes don't listen. So if you use the large muscles, this will promote that. This will take your wrist out of it.
Hands out of it.
Now, can you change grips in the middle of an 18-hole round or 9-hole round? Or do they have to be put on
before the
you?
round?
Before the round.
Before or after. And this grip, this is very interesting. So if you have a grip and let's say you want to lengthen or shorten your putter, it'll actually you can put a counterweight in the back too. So it's pretty interesting what you can do.
If you are on different grass, or whether it's a soggy day because we've had some rain or some dew versus a very dry day, a very hot period, does the grip make a difference as far as you're putting with the particular type of grass you're playing or with the conditions of the greens?
I wouldn't say grip, would you?
Not
I'd say more of the weight of the club.
Yeah, more the weight and
the length of your stroke, and you got to adjust.
Right.
It's, some players do it better than others.
So we do have that option. That's why Super Stroke here could be really great because you can adjust that very simply with this.
And people,
Absolutely.
Golfers are,
I want to remind everyone who may anchor their putting, whether it's a belly putter or a long putter. This is the last year for that. The USGA and the Royal Ancient Club has banned the anchoring.
Can't anchor the putter anymore.
Why?
So
they deem it an advantage too. I think there's arguments both ways. So
yeah, I was surprised it was upheld when they first introduced it.
Was too.
I thought there was going to be a fight. I know the PGA of America voiced their opinion against it. And, it's another thing that, if it's truly an advantage, then why doesn't everyone do it? I don't see a benefit for me personally to do it.
Right.
But I do, as you get older and your nerves kind of get a little more, not the way, a little jittery, if you will. The anchoring did help. And it helped, I think, extend careers of a lot of professionals.
Sure.
And the ban is going to be interesting to see how it's handled. I think how many manufacturers are going to come up with alternatives.
They will.
Well, that'll be our next show, The Future of Golf.
Absolutely.
Before we close, let's walk around this phenomenal pro shop. And as you can see, We have merchandise from a number of vendors. I love these colors. These bags are beautiful. Very, very interesting how we have the accessories and the shoes. It's just amazing. Now that you've seen what this fabulous pro shop has to offer, I hope you come out and stop in at the Lake Club when you're coming for your lesson with Dennis. And I want to thank my guests, Dennis Miller, Director of Golf at the Lake Club, Andy Santor, professional golfer, Mill Creek. Thank you both very, very much. It's been fabulous. I look forward to really improving my game this year with all of you two. We're going to be cheering you on in June.
Thank you.
So we're going to come back and see how you're doing.
You got it.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching. I'm Mary Pepino, and this is Fit for You.